Assalamu alaikum students. Welcome back. Here actually we were discussing about when people rebel. Due to British policy, I would like to say adverse British policy, different sections of the Indian society affected in one or another way, affected badly. And earlier in the last session, we had seen about Nawab and Raja, and even we had seen the Mughal emperor, as well as we had discussed about peasants and sepoys. How did they get affected by British policy? Today we are going to discuss about that responses to reform. Means many reforms were made by British in India, but not all reforms were welcomed by the people. Let's see. So the British believed that Indian society had to be reformed. They saw us Indian as primitive. They wanted to reform. Reform is like they wanted to bring changes. And to reform Indian society, law were passed to reform, to bring changes. So what kind of law? Such as law were passed to stop practice of sati. Sati, you people had learnt about it. When husband died, wife had to burn along with him, mainly in Hindu society. So British revoked this and also encouraged the remarriage of widow. Widow remarriage were not allowed in Indian society. So British encouraged the remarriage of widow. And somehow those laws we consider for the well-being of the society. But Indian people, conservative people, didn't see as positive, but they showed it's negative. English language education was actively promoted. Instead of local languages, English education got promoted. After 1830, the company allowed Christian missionaries to function freely in its domain and even on the land and property. Christian missionary organization of Christian to spread the Christianity. And after 1830, British government granted them certain powers, so they could work freely without any restrictions, and they got even uh, right to function properly in India without restriction, no law. So in 1850, a new law was passed to make conversion to Christianity easier. From Hindu to conversion became easier. This law allowed an Indian who had converted to Christianity to inherit the property of ancestor. Before there, certain restrictions were there. Those who converted from Hinduism to different religion, they were actually evicted from the ancestors' property. But by the law, inheritance granted. So many Indians began to feel that British were destroying their religion. They are afraid of religion. That now people will convert into Christianity, harm to religion. Their social customs and their traditional way of life. Told you, many people conservative. Even those laws were good to stop sati practice as well as encouragement of widow remarriage. Those things are actually welcome, good things, good reformation, good changes. People didn't like. Conservative people mainly didn't like. They believe that they are harming their religion, their customs, their way of life. So, yes, still that time there were, of course, some Indians, those who wanted to change existing Indian society. Few people were there, many people were there. Those who believed that yes, those reformations are good actually for the Indian society. But most of the people didn't like it. Now let's see about British policy. What people were thinking about British policy through two sources are given here. Let's discuss. First source here from Majha Pravas, written by Vishnu Bhatt Godse, a Pandit. So let's see a brief information about it, and afterwards that a paragraph taken from his book Majha Pravas. Given here in your textbook are excerpt from the book Majha Pravas, written by Vishnu Bhatt Godse. Can be as your 1 mark question. Who was the writer of Majha Pravas? Vishnu Bhatt Godse. A Brahman from village in Maharashtra. He and his uncle had set out to attend a yajna being organized in Mathura. Mathura, a holy city in Uttar Pradesh, located in Uttar Pradesh. And yajna ritual, Hindu ritual, they had to set out it to attend that ritual. So Vishnu Bhatt writes that they met some sepoys on the way when they were going for ritual into Mathura. They met sepoys on the way who told them that they should not proceed on the journey because massive uphill was going to break out in these days. They are afraid like uphill in the country that time before rebel. So they asked to stop them their journey to Mathura. And what Sepoy said, he wrote in his book. I am going to read it. The English were determined to wipe out the religion of Hindus and the Muslims. They had made a list of 84 rules and announced this in a gathering of all big kings and princes in Calcutta. They said that the kings refused to accept these rules and warned the English of dire consequences and massive upheaval if these are implemented. That the kings all returned to their capitals in great anger. All the big people began making plans. A date was fixed for the war of religion, and the secret plan had been circulated from the cantonment in Meerut by letters sent to different cantonments. This is excerpt taken from Vishnu Bhatt Godse's Majha Pravas. Let me elaborate it to you. So here Sepoy said to wipe out Hindu and Muslim religion, Islam in India. British had made list of 84 rules and announced those rules in gathering. They gathered big kings and princes in Calcutta and announced those rules. They said the kings refused to accept these rules and warned English that they had to get ready for the consequences if those rules to be implemented. So that the kings, they saw that British were determined to impose those laws. So they prepared themselves. They made a plan secretly. And date was fixed for war. It's like war against British. And secret plan had been circulated from cantonment. Cantonments is like that military cantonment. From Meerut cantonment to other cantonment in India. The second source here, there was soon excitement in every regiment. Regiment means a group, military group. British form different group. gave them regiment. They formed those groups on the basis of area as well as their community, like Sikh regiment, right? So there was soon excitement in every regiment. As letters circulated from different cantonment, so those different regiment, different military groups were excited. Let's see the source, second source here. Another account we have from those days are memories from Subedar Sitaram Pandey. Sitaram Pandey was recruited in 1812 as a sepoy in Bengal Native Army. He served the English for 48 years and retired in 1860. He helped the British to suppress the rebellion through his own son was a rebel and was killed by British in front of his eye. Tragic. Even still, he supported British. His son became rebellion, went against the British authority, and his son killed by British in front of him. Still, he was loyal to British. On retirement, he was pursued by his commanding officer, higher officer, commanding officer, Nogget, to write his memories. He completed writing in 1861 in Awadhi language and Nogget translated into English. He had it published under the title From Sepoy to Subedar. Title name that From Sepoy to Subedar. Subedar, that means that position in the area, Subedar. Here is an excerpt given from the Sitaram Pandey. What did he say? Let's see. It is my humble opinion that this seizing of earth filled the mind of sepoys with distrust and led them to plot against government. Agents of the Nawab of Earth and also of King of Delhi were sent all over India to discover the temper of the army. They worked upon the feelings of sepoys, telling them how treacherously the foreigners had behaved towards Turkey. Very bad they behaved to Turkey. They invented 10,000 lies and promises to pursue the soldiers to mutiny. Mutiny, that means if soldiers rebel against their authority, that is called mutiny. So they invented 10,000 lies and promises to pursue the soldiers to mutiny and turn against their masters. That means against British. With the object of restoring the emperor of Delhi to throne, and they wanted to restore emperor of Delhi on throne of Delhi, because Delhi is still considered as the center of powers in India. They maintained that this was wholly within the army's powers if the soldiers would not act together and do as they were advised. So here he wrote about soldier situation, that he meant that those kings pursued soldiers to mutiny against British. They wanted to turn British power off. They wanted to restore Mughal emperor as emperor of India. Continue. It chanced that about this time, Sarkar sent parties of men from each regiment to different garrison for instruction in the use of new rifle. Garrison, military garrison, barracks, right? That fortified area called garrison. So from each regiment from group to different garrison to instruction of use of new rifle. Sarkar said some parties that they launch a new rifle. This man performed the new drill for some time until report got about by some means or the other that cartridges used for this new rifle were greased with the fat of cows and pigs. They launch Enfield rifle, named that rifle that be Enfield rifle, and they use cartridges, bullet cartridges, to greasing it, lubricate it. That according to him, that some people that spread that they use fat of cow and pig to grease it, to lubricate it. So some men pointed out that the men from regiment wrote to others in the regiment telling them about this. So this news spread in different regiment. Some men pointed out that in 40 years service, nothing had ever been done by the Sarkar to insult their religion. So they feel like, that Indian people that very close to their religion, they cannot bear something bad to their religion. So they feel insult that Sarkar means that British never did such kind of things in 40 years. But as I have already mentioned, the sepoys' minds had been inflamed by the seizure of Awadh. He blamed again that Nawab of Awadh. Interested parties were quick to point out that great aim of the English was to turn us all into Christian. One more accused against the British, according to him. And they had therefore introduced cartridge to order to bring this about, since both Muhammadans, Muslims, and the Hindus would defy by using it. They want to defy their religion, according to those people, because we know that Muhammadanians, that means Muslims, they stay away from that pig, right? And bird, and for Hindus that cow is holy. So here they wanted to defile both the religion. The Colonel Sahib of the opinion that the excitement, which ever could not fail to see, would passed off and had done before, and he recommended me to go to my home. Here we are talking about Sitaram Pandey from Sepoy to Subedar. So these are the sources we have, and we know the situation by those sources, and how that mutiny becomes a popular rebellion. We will discuss in upcoming session. Thank you so much for watching.